John D Rockefeller is to blame for our out-of-control healthcare costs and skyrocketing levels of chronic disease. Basically, Rockefeller ensured that only allopathic medicine, what we call conventional medicine today, beat out the other two heavily used forms of medicine 100 years ago due to its better profitability profile. If your business isn't healthcare or pharmaceuticals, you need to understand this history and why so much of your human capital budget is going into the pockets of these other industries. At the turn of the 20th century, there were basically three main sectors of the medical profession: the eclectics that relied mainly on botanicals and herbal medicine, the homeopaths, and the orthodox doctors that had been dubbed the allopaths. We'll look at the veracity of homeopathy and herbal medicine in other videos. But what's important to know for now is that the scientific training and curriculum of these other two types of medical schools was almost indistinguishable from the orthodox schools back then. In 1903, a code of ethics was adopted that actually ignored the kind of medicine that doctors practiced, and many of the medical schools merged. But the American Medical Association, that only allowed orthodox doctors as its members, they weren't happy. But they were struggling financially as regular people wanted to use the medicine that actually worked, homeopathy and herbalists. So there was a sort of truce for a while, but then along came Rockefeller, and he was known as a ruthless businessman. He was always looking for the next profit, and he decided to invest in the AMA to boost his public image. He formed the Rockefeller Medical Foundation. And one of his first projects was a survey of all the medical schools in the US to supposedly assess the quality of their education. And he put a guy in charge called Abraham Flexner. And Abraham's brother Simon Flexner was actually an orthodox physician and head of the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research. So the resulting report was published in 1910, and it had a lot of positive ideas. So, for example, requiring a science degree as a prerequisite for medical school. Sounds good. And making sure that students receive clinical experience in hospitals as part of their training. So lots of good recommendations. But the most famous conclusion of the Flexner report was the poor ratings given to the schools, the medical schools that were focused on homeopathy and eclectic medicine, and calling for them to be closed. There was obviously a clear bias towards the orthodox schools that were by then being marketed as scientific medicine, and obviously that continues to this day. There's a great little book written by Maurice Beale, and it came out in 1949, so that's over 75 years ago. But its drug title is The Drug Story, a factological history of America's $10 billion drug cartel, its methods, operations, hidden ownership, profits, and terrific impact on the health of the American people. It's quite a read. You can find it in a library somewhere. It recounts how Rockefeller had been so impressed with the big meat packing houses that processed and sold every part of the animal, he decided to develop products from his petroleum waste so that he could make money at it. You can trace this history into the foundation of many of today's well-known pharmaceutical companies. And the book also covers the reach of the Rockefeller empire to news media and other advertising assets to make sure they controlled the market for the drug makers' products. It's really amazing how relevant this book is today. Rockefeller, by the way, died at age 98. And he didn't touch any of the products that he made, and he relied solely on homeopathy all those years. I'm just giving you a bit of the history here so that you can get a sense of big pharma and healthcare in general as the profit-driven industry it is. Now, your individual doctor may be really well-meaning, but I got to tell you, they're brainwashed as soon as they stepped into an orthodox medical school. It's heavily financed by big pharma, as is most of the mainstream media today. Oh, and if you think this is only a US problem, it was the Rockefeller Foundation that laid the groundwork for the League of Nations Health Organization after the First World War, and that eventually morphed into what we know today as the World Health Organization. And since then, Bill Gates has adopted Rockefeller's ingenious philanthropy for profit principles, enabling them to boost their public image while lining their own pockets. And the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has taken over as the principal patron to the World Health Organization. It has a scarily outsized role in today's global health agenda. Don't fall for it. Functional and integrative forms of medicine basically go back to the principles used by the eclectics and the homeopaths, but includes lots of modern testing and diagnostics at this point. They're every bit as scientific and research-backed as the pharma-led conventional or so-called orthodox approaches today. We need to put an end to the dominance of big pharma in our lives. Until next time.